Good morning, good evening, or good riddance. Welcome to the Spire Riffcast, where we'll be discussing all things metal, non-metal, and every point in between. With this podcast, we hope to lift the veil on our world in metal music and dig into some topics we've wanted to share with all of you. This will be informal, so please take our content with a grain of salt and a sense of humor. Right now, you're listening to the Riffcast, Episode 8. I am unprepared Spire guitarist Pat Young, and I'm here with high school buddy and musical consultant Nate Felty of Dynamo currently. Let's riff. Man? What's going on, man?
Not too much.
All right, so is this music too loud for you? I actually have his new band playing right now. Is this too loud?
Turn that off.
Turn it off?
It sucks.
Let me turn it. I'll turn it down a little bit, just to lighten the mood. But yeah, man, I you were up from Tennessee. You got at me. We hung out the other night, and we talked about doing the podcast. And I didn't think it was going to happen today because I actually didn't go into work this morning. I'm sick as a dog, but I took some Dayquil and a lot of water, and hopefully I peed out all the bad stuff. Is that how it works? I think
that's the. Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, we'll have Bill Nye
he'll
explain
come in
it.
Yeah, he'll come in. Do a little experiment for us.
Yeah,
you got coffee there. Maybe he'll talk about that. But yeah, man.
I wanted to talk about how you started out because we went to high school together.
Yeah, I
want to talk about give me just a simple bio, kind of string me along here with it, and I'll hopefully, because I'm not as prepared as I usually am for these, I'll hopefully have some commentary in between.
Cool, man. How far back do you want to dig in the archives?
I don't know, man. Basically, how you got started, with drumming, if you want to go back that far.
Yeah, let's do it. It all started kind of by accident, probably like most musicians, I think. A lot of times it's just sort of, you pick up sticks because they're there or something. Or in my case, I was at my dad's friend's house. He has a little home studio, and I was about 6 years old, 6.5 probably. He had a little home studio there, and he was blasting Rush because all dads from the late 80s, early 90s blast Rush.
Mm-hmm.
But he was blasting that in his studio, and I was just kind of wandering around having fun while they were catching up with each other.
Yeah,
I made my way into one of the tracking rooms. There's a drum set set up there,
nice.
And all the cymbals and all that on. It's one of those big, pearl kits from the olden times. Those huge toms, like Tommy Lee that kind of style, multiple drum racks and all that. But I just sat up there, and there were sticks right on the drum, and I heard, I think it was, I'm trying to remember what Rush tune it was, probably The Trees or something weird, but I just started playing along to it, I guess, and that was sort of how it all began.
Yeah, the natural rhythm. Right?
Yeah, I guess eighth notes, whatever you want to call it. But I was just having fun and happened to sound not god awful, so I guess my dad caught wind of it, and his buddy just kind of said, "Hey, get your kid some drums and see if this is something he could do."
How old were you?
And I was almost 7.
Almost
about
7.
6.5, yeah.
I was 3 when I started.
Yeah, man.
Pots and pans. On pots and pans, because my dad, he didn't listen to Rush.
Mm-hmm.
My dad listened to Frankie Valli and Johnny and the Dirt Clods, or whatever the fuck. I don't know what name.
Going back in time. Right.
So he's he would play bass up in his face when he was doing air bass. Yeah. He's oh, listen to those drums, bud. Dad, those are finger snapping. That's not even those are claves or...
I think there's a tambourine in there, is that it?
Yeah, he's oh, they're killing it. So that was my influence, but luckily you had a real beautiful kit for your experience there.
I mean, more is more, I guess, from that era, the progressive rock era. But yeah, man, I was really fortunate just to be around a bunch. My dad and his buddy were a bunch of band geeks, really, from back in the day. They both went to my same high school, actually. Both went to West Tennessee. They were in a marching band together. My dad played sousaphone, oddly enough, and they always messed around with the drum line,
nice.
Doing stupid stuff with them, and it just sort of that's kind of where it all began, I guess, musically. You could say in my family's heritage, they all were kind of in that whole thing, and eventually it just turned into me being part of it and hanging out with them, and then it became a career all of a sudden. So I had become pretty enamored with it. I mean, I remember just being in elementary school and I'd be on those little crappy, white 6-inch diameter little like practice drum pads that everybody hated, but for some reason they only gave them to students that were trying to learn how to play music. Then here you go, take this piece of crap and enjoy it. Here you go. That'll really manifest your passion. But yeah, just kind of started from there, and eventually my parents were gracious enough to get me one of those starter drum kits. Yeah, that was probably, man.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta graduate to the other one. Like,
yeah.
They get you there's no brand name written on it because even the company's ashamed of it. It's like some off brand. It's like Filgen or like Crabian, and then you just beat the shit out of it, and then you go, Mom and Dad, I want it. I want more stuff. Give me
more
another
of
one.
this.
Give me a real one.
I want a bigger one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it's just beating it along to whatever music I listen to, some 80s. Everybody loves a bit of 80s hair. Definitely got into that. But then I got into the more of the stuff I'm ashamed to talk about, like the boy band stuff.
Don't be ashamed.
Dude. Yeah.
I listened to hip hop.
Yeah, man.
Before I started on Green Day, it was my first like actual play instruments band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blink-182, man. That's
Green Day, Blink-182. Yeah, you gotta have your
all
stepping
the goods.
stones.
I'm talking about like the Backstreet Boys though, and
who cares?
In Sync.
Isn't that drummer for? I'm gonna step out on a ledge here, and it's gonna be wrong, but isn't the guy that's drumming for Jay-Z? Isn't he like still a teenager? Maybe he is. Tony Royster
Tony
Jr.?
Royster Jr. He's actually getting older now.
He's getting older?
He's a little older than us. Probably 28, 29.
Is he
guess.
really?
Yeah.
When he
he's
joined,
been doing it since.
When he joined that whole outfit though with Jay-Z, wasn't he like in his teenage years?
Yeah, I think that gig, when he started that gig, he was, I want to say he was 18, 17, 18, something like that.
Yeah, he crushes.
Yeah,
and he crushed when he was like 10.
His hands are better than mine when he was in the womb. But yeah, man,
doesn't matter what you listen to, dude. That's the whole.
Everybody's
point.
got their influences. Those are mine. Take them or leave it. But so had an off-brand drum set that had no labels on it because everybody was ashamed about it.
Yep.
And eventually, I carried that drum set for years, just beating on it. So it sounded like piss when I got it, and it sounded like stagnant piss by the time I was done with it. And eventually,
it was made by Pisty.
Yeah, Pisty. Yes, sir. But yeah, then eventually I graduated into a nice little Mapex kit. That was sort of where it began to legitimize itself, you could say. That was late high school. Late high school? Yeah.
When did you start? Because I know you were like, you're a jazz guy.
Yeah.
So when did you start getting into, like, you had your Prove It drum experience, and then when it's like, Mom and Dad, I need something better to handle what I'm doing.
Yeah. What
were you getting? Like, how did you transition from the '80s hair and the Backstreet Boys to jazz stuff?
Yeah. Well, man, the whole jazz influence I've had all my life. Really, my grandfather, actually your former drummer's father, so Uncle Mike's dad.
Oh yeah.
He used to always play a lot of old jazz records, and around holiday time, whenever I'd visit, it would be, some Duke Ellington or like Oscar Peterson or something along those lines, just like, that from that era, really. And I'd always listen to it, and it was kind of always going on in the background. And I never really like hated it. I just was like, oh, nice, this is still jazz, but something different. Yeah. And it was always something that I kind of. One ear was always like interested, like, what's going on here? This is kind of cool. And the other ear was just, focused on eavesdropping everybody's conversations and having a good time. But
which is good. That's how you get that multitasking.
Right. That's how
skill down there.
That's where I got it from. But yeah, man, the jazz stuff, that I've had that ever since I can remember. Really, I've always had a bit of me that was always into that. I just never listened to it. Kind of intensely until late high school.
Because jazz to me follows the same pathway that one would go to like a metalhead. Like there really is similarities. To the podcast listeners, whoever you are, I didn't just pull the guy off the street. He's in town. No, there's a lot of connections here. He's our former drummer, Mike Elliott. He's his uncle?
Yeah.
Like, how much older is he than you?
Yeah, he's my uncle, and he's a year and some change older.
Yeah, so it really is the same pathway from starting out with whatever you started out on, Backstreet's Back, and then you graduate to jazz. It's the same thing for me. I listen to Memphis Bleak and DMX, and Big Willie style, of course.
Hey,
classic. I play that one around Mom, so she's okay with it. This is fine. And that graduates to the metal I listen to eventually. So same thing, jazz.
Everybody starts from somewhere, you know. It doesn't.
It's an acquired taste. Jazz definitely.
But the whole jazz thing, because like, whenever anybody, this is kind of bizarre, but whenever anybody asks us to, like, whenever Dynamo is booking gigs or something, or trying to hustle, whatever,
it is hustling. Definitely.
We'll get into that later.
Put on our high heels.
The first question that always comes up with most people booking shows, well, what kind of music do you play? And we have the hardest time describing that, man, because there's many influences.
Just swallow it, and go have the go-tos, like the ones that you're like, what will you get if I say that? So that's what I say. I say, it depends on who's talking to me. If they consider themselves a metalhead, I say Five Finger Death Punch and cringe. Because I'm like, I guess that's metal, or Lamb of God or whatever. Actually, I don't mind saying that, but yeah, I mean, you have the go-tos, you know, what you sound like.
Yeah, but I mean, we have so many different influences. There's always a difficult. It's whoever's job it is to describe us. It's always, you know, it's kind of like a joke, you know, like, well, what's he gonna say this time? But the biggest overarching influence you could say in helping to describe us is jazz. It's essentially improvisational music. There's a melody, there's like a form, more or less, and there's like a solo section, or there's a horn line or something. You know, there's always a form and a structure to it. Right. And there's that space in between, and even during the form where you can where there's embellishment and improvisation. But but the jazz influence, like, that's, you know, that's the best way to describe what it is we do. As far as my acquired taste for jazz, I mean, that's just, like I said before, listening to records in my grandfather's house, and eventually I got into jazz band in middle school. So graduating on the next step of where it all began. I mean, middle school is where I began to play jazz, really. I had a wonderful teacher there, who I'm sure you're familiar with, being a former West Jenny graduate, Steve Frank.
Steve Frank.
Yeah, he was the director of our jazz band.
He started me out in the fourth grade in Stonehenge Elementary with concert band, and I did a couple of jazz sessions with him, like summer jazz bands. You know,
same. He was one of the pillars. I would say I would go out on a limb and say he is one of the sole reasons I really began to dig into that music, because I saw his passion for it, and on top of that, you could see his, like, you could tell if he had a vested interest in what he was doing, and he always did. It seemed like every time he was in the rehearsal room,
because he kind of had an edge to him, and you knew that when that really was at its height. And I was a little bitch, so I couldn't take it. You know, one day he's like, "It is jazz," so he's like, "Oh, just stop." He's like, "Bass drum needs to be quieter," and I'm like the metalhead, like, "The bass drum needs to be quieter," and you're like, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this guy, and I just take my foot off of the pedal. And he goes, "All right." What?
Sounds good.
Like, thanks, man. I guess I'll just keep my foot off the pedal. But yeah, that's it's what it required, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he had such a good idea for what he wanted in his music and in the music he rehearsed. And like, I took a lot of, I could certainly see where people would get real pissed off with that and kind of close up a little bit and be like, well, why the hell should we have to adapt to how you want it to sound? You know, this is how I
get it now.
You know, but now you look back,
I get it now. I'm like, that when that guy was a dick, like that was, I get that. Right. It's like someone has the ability, but not the display of what you want. Like, they have the ability to do it, and they're not performing it, you know, to the best that they could do. Or they don't see what you want them to see. Right. But like, I had the ability to do it. I just didn't have, like, I couldn't put my pride away or my personal preference or whatever. I'm the fucking drummer. I'm only listening to myself and the trumpets blowing in my face. So I couldn't really hear his vision for it. And I totally understand that now.
Well, it's a great testament to how to be a good band leader. You know, as you definitely know, you've worked with Spire. I mean, it was like 12, 13 years now, probably, right?
Since 13 years.
Yeah. See, I mean, as someone who's sort of spearheaded your own group and your own project, it's you can take so much away from a band leader, in that regard, because there's such a drive, and it might piss people off, and you're never going to have, an ideal situation doing that. There's always going to be obstacles you have to figure out how to navigate around. But with him, I mean, what really gravitated me towards his style of band leading and like jazz in general, playing it and listening to it, was just seeing his passion for what he wanted and being able to explain that to a bunch of dipshits like us. We're 12, 13, 14 years old. All we care about is getting home and playing Super Smash Brothers or something. We don't want to sit there and like
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Sorry. We don't want to sit there and like try and, practice something that we don't even enjoy how it sounds. We had, when you're young, you don't think about that sort of stuff. When you're younger, you
don't think about the big picture. You think about your instrument, and when it stops being fun, you're like, fuck this on to something else.
Right. But with him, I mean, I could see how he wanted it to sound, and I could tell when I adapted my playing to match what he wanted.
It also helps when you have a respect level for somebody too.
Yeah,
and that takes a lot of maturity.
Yeah, it's difficult for anybody really. I think that's in middle school to sort of have that. Of course, But
you've always had the discipline in your own instrument, anyways, and using, at least from what I've seen, whatever stage you were at, you were performing in the higher echelon of your age group. You really were. I think in anything that you were doing.
I was just having fun. I had no. I mean, you're obviously. There's obviously a bit of, I would say like, I don't know if competitiveness is the right word, but there's definitely a bit of that. At least for me, like I was always sort of looking around me, being like, I'm working on my stuff, but is there something that I'm not doing that's really hip that somebody else is doing around me that I don't know?
It's good to have that, though.
Yeah, I was always kind of keeping an ear out for what was going on around me.
It's good that you had that. We had that structure. Like I was that. You laid in the cut. You weren't like, oh, look at me. So that's, as far as the recognition goes, that goes on paper, because you really you sit behind the kit. That's sort of alluding to like how you live your life. You like lay in the cut, and then you're like, holy shit, people are like, wow. But you weren't. You're not. Your face isn't on this poster. It's not like that. And that's awesome. Like to have that, but it's good to have that structure coming up in grammar school, whatever. I hated it at the time. Doing like the NYSMA competitions, doing the drumming. Like we have a judge, and I didn't like it, but that's what kept me at a certain level. I wasn't the best by any means, but like that's what kept me disciplined, and I didn't even know it. I'm trying to rebel against something, but that I didn't even know I was being disciplined this whole time, and it proved to be a perfect solution for me. It's just what I needed. Marching band, I fucking hated marching band. My parents would say, "Oh, we forced you to do it, but one day you're gonna thank us." Nope. But what I did like, and you didn't do marching band, but what I did like is that there was the discipline. And I hated being on the field. I'm like, well, you have these dot charts, and you go 16 counts this way, do a diagonal kick this way, and then you do a halt for 16 bars, and then you go this. We're in the same fucking place by the end of I just walked the football field. I'm like, can we just stay in one spot? I'm crab walking around with my, prepubescent height and weight, like lugging these quads. It's not. I hated that, but the time with the line, and that was most of the time. The time with the line, man. When it's synced up, talk about discipline. Because if there was any rebel in the group, you have any kid that's like, fuck this, I didn't practice, oh fuck. You stand out, so you better get ready the next week, man.
Yeah.
That set me up for being in a band, a serious band. If one person lugs, it's like, everybody knows.
Dude, it's funny, man. It really is like, I always hear the term like, it's a happy ship, when the band's all pulling its own weight. But man, I'll tell you what, if there's one person, no matter how big the band, I mean, we're a band of 9 people. It's a lot of dudes in a small space. It's really uncomfortable, and I just can't, sometimes I can't stand the smell of, Blaylock or something. But like, he's our keyboardist in the band, for those who don't know. But I mean, man, if somebody doesn't pull their weight, it really is like somebody just tossed an anchor off the ship, and all of a sudden we're coming to a screeching halt, and we're checking ourselves like, where is it? Who is it? It's funny, but man,
you guys like have it's under the microscope dry sound that it's still easy to figure out. I'm sure who's fucking up. Like, let's play that part again. It's so out there and in your face. Whereas a lot of the metal that we're doing, there is a lot of cover up. We try to play with a lot less gain, to really bring out our chops and our playing. But yeah, there's still some cover up. But with that style, you guys just have this like jazz fusion-y style. It's Earth, Wind, and Nate, like it's this like you're gonna know who's who's fucking up,
right? Yeah, it's.
But you guys definitely have the discipline. I know it.
It's a great group for so many reasons. It's channeled my passion for music in such a unique way in the last 2 years. I can't even really. I'm having trouble explaining it. Just how much it's meant to everybody, really. Not just me. It's such a teamwork thing, right? But like, that being said, when you're under the microscope, when we rehearse, it's not just like, we're always having fun, obviously, but like it's a rehearsal, like
dude, we're 20, subtle, we're 20. Who gives a fuck years old? You get to a point where it's not about playing the show anymore.
Right.
It's about playing the perfect show.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you're going to have mistakes, but they're not going to be real mistakes. They're not going to be errors. They're going to be like, oh, I fucked up here, and no one notices. It's fine. It's an okay mistake to have, because that's not something that you cannot do. You're incapable of doing. To have the perfect show.
Yeah.
That's where it counts. And to me, that's where it's fun.
Yeah.
That's when it starts getting fun. Like you say, oh, we have fun, but we also are serious. It's like, no, you're serious, and because of that, it's fun. That's how I view it.
It's everybody's busting ass in the group and outside the group. Everybody's got their own stuff. We all, we're not just a bunch of. It's not like that. That one of those MTV reality shows where we all live in a house together and do nothing, and then play a show, and then do nothing for another day. But like, when we're not playing or rehearsing, like, we all have our own stuff going on, but we're all shedding and working on. Everybody's got. Everybody has personal goals that they want to work towards, which I think makes any band so much stronger than they. It helps you grow so quickly, because you never plateau. You never hit a point where you're like, okay, this will work.
Because you should never be satisfied.
Right, exactly. And
you should be like,
none of us are satisfied. We love what we've been doing, but
you should get satisfaction, but you should never be satisfied. Never be content fully. Just to help me sleep at night, I played a great show. I got that ringing in my ear because I forgot fucking earplugs. And the next day, it's something different. What's next? What do we have to do next? What's the next date? What do we have to work on? Like, there's no subsiding.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, there's no vacation from it.
There's no reeling in any of the we've had so much fun, obviously, and like so much success that we have trouble understanding at the time, and we look back and we understand it, after the fact. But like, our heads are always focused on what's next. What do we have to work towards now? Like, what's the next thing to shed?
And that's what's fun, is that with 9 people, especially, like, you're creating an excitement with everybody. Like saying like, all right, if everybody's putting in a little piece of this pie here. no one's going to be pulling their hair out,
Right.
because everyone's going to be doing work for it,
Right.
and that way you guys and having a control over your own life too, like personal goals, like you mentioned.
Right.
That's a huge part about being in a band. Like, it's the band's business.
Right.
It always is.
Yeah.
You know, it truly is. Like, the decision making, you have to have people with their heads on straight. That's why there's so many lineup changes in bands, especially metal. We're all fucking scumbags because people don't have their head on straight. You know, if people have member changes, it's like, okay, what's the real reason? You know, like, what is the real reason?
Right.
So it's a lot to do with people not being able to manage themselves, or only being able to survive themselves.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, just that element of like professionalism, not in the sense of like musicianship as much as it is just like knowing how to be in a group that's really trying to move forward and grow. You know, there's so much besides the music that we work on, you know. There's promotion.
Dude, music is such a small part of it.
Yeah, it really
I think
really is.
In the whole scheme of things, to get your music out, what do you have to do? I mentioned the Doomy heels. You got to put them on, like,
that's right,
in order to get that out. And we will. I will touch on the. We'll get back to that, and how you guys did your new record, which is unbelievable to me. But yeah, it's just incredible to be like sitting down with it. Like, you come up, you know, every year, a couple times a year, and we hang out, we get drunk, we have fun. But it's nice to actually like look back. We haven't looked back on what we've done, because I remember jamming with you when we did the after ball party at our high school, and I didn't even fucking go to the ball. We just played the show. We played
the show, and then those kids in front of us got arrested because all the mom chaperones started yelling at us.
Oh yeah, music. And we can't name drop, but if only people knew, if only people knew who got arrested.
Maybe someday.
For vroom vroom. That's all I'll say. That's my hint.
Yep. Oh man.
With an Italian accent. But yeah, the cop in the Hawaiian shirt, I couldn't take him seriously. He was like trying to shut it down. We're in the middle of Everlong.
Yeah, we're playing,
you know, a serious fucking song.
I love that too. That was like my favorite part about the whole practice was just like, you know, making that tune sound good, and it felt so good. And we're in the middle of the tune, and all of a sudden this cop, I didn't know it was a cop. It just looked like some pretentious dad in a Hawaiian t-shirt and flip-flops walking in, telling us to turn down.
Yeah.
It might as well have been like somebody's neighbor after, you know, during a garage band practice or something. Like, yeah, we'll turn down. We're almost done.
Yep. Only thing I ask of you, promise not to stop when stop. You need to stop. Yeah. No, seriously, you need to stop. But that's amazing how far you've come with that. You did the band Track 9. We played talent shows together.
Yep.
And Lawrence and I were doing the Spire thing with that.
Yes, sir. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and then you went to Oswego.
Yes, sir. I did my undergrad at SUNY Oswego.
Yeah.
And I actually met the guitarist of Dynamo while at SUNY Oswego. We were actually in a band together up there.
Okay.
John Murphy is the guitarist. Yeah, he's a great friend of mine. Still live with him. Still put up with each other. But yeah, Oswego is kind of where I really, like anybody going to college, it's where you really discover what you want to do and who you want to be, that sort of thing.
Is he from Tennessee?
He's from New York. He's from New York. He's from Hamilton, New York, down by Colgate.
Oh yeah. So you guys both decided to go down there to Tennessee and make that decision. So after Oswego, you did
Belmont University.
Belmont?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Nashville. Yep. Right in Nashville.
This is your master's?
That was a master's. Yeah. We both went down there the same year for the master's program.
Master's in what?
Master's in commercial music performance.
Cool.
It's actually, I mean, that was one of the things that drew me to it, was just the title alone, commercial music performance. And I was like, commercial music, what's that mean, you know?
Yeah.
And then I did some research, and I mean, Nashville, Tennessee is one of the, I would go out on a limb and say it's one of the most blossoming cities in the States right now. Not just in terms of music and art, but that's definitely one of the strongest parts about it. But I would say that city alone is just growing, and there's so much creativity just flowing.
Obviously,
through it.
getting all those members that actually don't have their heads up their asses.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. And there's a lot of music for the sake of music, not for the sake of something extraneous, like fame or
doing
riches or
music
something.
as an angle to
Exactly,
get something else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, we both graduated. Murph and I graduated SUNY Oswego in 2012, and we moved down to Nashville together that August and went to school.
Well, you did ley lines too, and you were still kind of in ley lines. Syracuse band.
Yeah, I was in a three-piece,
and then you go to a 9-piece. Fuck it.
Graduate a little bit, but
ley lines sick, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish. That was that was a great project. That's something else. That's for
you got tour experience doing that.
Yeah, I did one of my first, as it was my first national tour. I mean, you could say national. We went down the East Coast and up a little bit through the Midwest and back. It wasn't much of a national tour, but it was the first time I was on the road, really.
But that was like a change grabbing tour, That's like the sleeping wherever the fuck you can. You got the pedo van.
Yeah, sleeping in hammocks outside of Walmart, stuff like that.
It's good.
But yeah, I mean, that was sort of my first experience touring, being in that band. Ley lines, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a 3-piece. I would say like indie alternative kind of music. Yeah. It was a fantastic group to be a part of, and it was kind of the reason why it stopped. We never really quit. Is the reason why there's no music coming out of them is because 2 of the members live in Syracuse and I live in Nashville. It's not really conducive to having.
And then one of them moved after that.
Yeah, one of them.
We were doing our pressing through Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason Eldredge at Subcat. Yeah,
and then he moved down.
He moved down to Ithaca to do a master's down there, actually, in composition. But that's the last thing I know that he's been up to. I gotta give him a call and see where he's at. But anyways, yeah, that group was a very beneficial group for me because it was my first introduction to really how rough, roughing it can go, and like how much do you love your art and how much sacrifice are you willing to put up with, and that was a great.
It's good to like experience the real bottom of the music industry in a good band, like in a solid band.
It was awesome, and it was also brutal. I would say that. The awesomeness always won out, but man, there were times when the brutality caught up with us. But yeah, it was an experience I'll always cherish because it was such a great, such a great example of how much are you willing to, sacrifice and put in for what you love, And we toured in a van. It was my old van. I drove an old GMC cargo van, the van that you rush your kids inside of if they're playing outside on the lawn. You rush your kids inside the house,
or the van that you rush their kids inside when you want to just be a creep.
Yeah, it's always ice cream in there somewhere. But yeah, I mean, we took that down on tour, and that was no air conditioning, middle of July through states like Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee. It was brutal, but
did you get through the stereotype? Any breakdowns? Any craziness?
No breakdowns.
No breakdowns.
No breakdowns. We had a couple overnighters in the van. That was fun. Just waking up. You always read those stories about parents leaving their babies and they're locked up in their cars by accident. We would wake up and we would be fortunate we'd woken up because it's 95 degrees outside.
Ugh.
And felt like an oven inside the van, But
good thing there was only 3 of you. You weren't carrying Dynamo around.
Yeah,
That's 18 sacks. unless some of them have any surgical.
17 sacks.
17.
But yeah, that was a good example of just putting up with a lot of nonsense and a lot of frustration. And
it digs down to who you really are,
seeing the end goal always through the thick of it. That was a great way. And when I moved to Nashville, my chief goal wasn't, grad school was the ultimate reason that I went down there, the school I got into and everything. But I could care less about school, really. The only kind of schooling I'd be doing was just kind of checking out music that spoke to me and talking to people, meeting people, and
you got this band out of it, man.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful thing, man. 3 of the other guys in the band also were pursuing their masters as well. I mean, there was Murph, and then I met Kevin Gatsky, the tenor saxophone player, also doing his masters in saxophone, and Ryan Connors, who's doing his masters at the time, this is a funny story, in drum set. And he switched to piano after a semester of grad school.
Yeah, rhythm section, right?
Yeah. But he was more or less the founder of the group. He brought in these tunes that just, ideas that were awesome that we all gravitated towards immediately, and it was like, you could hear the you could hear all the influences in just a small segment of a tune idea, and it was something that you immediately wanted, for me at least, I immediately wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
And that was sort of where it all began. We just jammed on that, and then all of a sudden we had started meeting other classmates at the school as we, immersed ourselves some more with the program. But yeah, I mean, we can get into that too. Just like we eventually just met our synth player, Josh Blaylock, also plays trombone. Met him through the school. Also met our former member of ours, Jimmy Spilker, on alto saxophone, and Emmanuel Etcham on trumpet. So that's kind of where the core of the group came from. Was really the Belmont program. It was just kind of there at our disposal, and we met some great people along the way, and everybody was sort of good friends.
When that's the hub for all that, though, and you're kind of going along similar paths down there, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, you hear good music and you want to be a part of it. It's as simple as that. Really, it's just something that we all kind of immediately wanted to get into.
Right.
But yeah, that was where it all began. Really, just jamming during and after school. But yeah, I mean, it was moving to Nashville. That was like the main reason I wanted to go down there, was to find like-minded people.
Yeah.
That loved music for the same reasons I loved music.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a lot of that in Syracuse still, and a lot of that in Oswego. But Nashville is just kind of where it really took off for me.
I don't know if there's like 9 people though.
maybe
like 4 or 5 people like-minded. But yeah, I'm glad you went down there, man, and then you still make your way up here, dude. Yeah. You're a trooper. You guys did a pretty decent run, right? You did like, was it like 14? Now. A couple of them?
We did. Our first run was actually about a year ago. We had just finished school. We graduated school. All of us except for the percussionist and other drummer, Ross McReynolds. I left one name out. I always leave one.
There's so many names, though.
I love you, Ross. But he was one of the other members we met at Belmont also. He was another drummer there. He was a killing drummer. And he's just a friend of mine and everybody else's, and we just all jammed together. And when we all graduated with our masters last year, young Ross was the only guy who had one more year left to go at school. But it was summer vacation for all of us, and we hit the road pretty much as soon as we finished up, the semester.
Nice.
We graduated May 3rd or 4th.
Did you have to perform? Did you have to do a performance for that, or was it?
No, thank God, no, I wasn't involved.
Fail.
In it. Yeah.
I didn't like it.
No, but it was basically right out of school, a couple days, and then on the road. But we did a 3.5-week run right off the bat.
Who booked that?
All of us.
All you guys.
It's all just
that's
DIY.
Awesome. Oh, that's right. Because I was talking to you about this before, and you had said that like each guy kind of had like their hometown or like a some kind of ghost town in their past. Like they've had like the connection, or I know somebody here or there. And that's how you built it, which that's amazing, man. You didn't have a manager and agent or whatever. You did it on your own, and it seemed to go okay, right?
It worked,
I don't know how the hell you get 9 people paid, but
it's not a glamorous life, but if we can make ends meet, then we're gonna do it. It's like any musician that wants to travel, if they can, they can reason with themselves, and they're gonna do it.
But your music is also conducive to the general nightlife public.
I mean,
and it is, and I say that with the best of intentions because it's also not mainstream. And my whole because I saw you guys at Dinosaur BBQ, unbelievable, unfucking believable. And you have a singer with you. It's a lot of instrumental foundation, but you have this guy that went on the road with you, and he does like half your record.
Yeah, Dane. Yeah, he's a full on member of the group.
Unbelievable. He sounds like a Michael Bublé, you know. Yeah. And this guy, he just carries it, man. And my whole thing was like, what would I want to see if I go out and I see like kind of a whatever, like a bar band? What would I want to see? I'd want to see jazz fusion-y shit, Little Rock, chops, and sublet your set to Stevie Wonder covers only. And when I saw you guys at Dinosaur BBQ, you were a jazz fusion-y band with a little bit of rock, fucking wanky solos, and every cover was pretty much Stevie Wonder tune. I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Everything that your heart's desired.
Yeah, signed, sealed, delivered. I was yours. Zach does not take out lame jokes like that. He actually turns them up. Yeah, that's unbelievable. That was the one. Was that the run that I saw, or did I see your second run?
That was the second run. That was the
second run. Outing. Yeah.
Yeah, our first run. Yeah, for anybody who's from Syracuse, this will be funny. Our first run, we played at the Bull and Bear.
Okay.
There's like a little bit of
it's tiny.
Yeah, it's
tiny,
like
tiny,
the size
tiny.
of this card table right here. It's yeah.
Can't even fit a pool table on that
Yeah,
shit.
you like set drums on there, and then that's about it. But all of us fit all of our shit on it. It was incredible. I don't know how we did it. Definitely wasn't, an ideal situation at all, but it was one of those things where you show up to a gig and you see it and you're like, all right, let's make it work.
Yeah.
And that was our debut in Syracuse, and it was still a blast. I mean, it's definitely cramped. It felt like I was playing in like an elevator or something, but it felt, it still felt great.
It was an interesting elevator.
Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, our second run, this was mid-October to mid-November. We did a run about the same length, 3.5 weeks, and that's when we came through the Dinosaur.
Cool.
Yeah,
that was a great place for you guys. That place was packed. I could not move.
That was a very pleasant surprise.
That's where you get like the crowd that wants to see you. Because you had people that followed you out.
Yeah,
and,
it was fun, man. Seeing people show up.
Yeah.
With like our shirts on or something. It was like.
Yep.
It's I don't know anything really about how to. We like promotion and stuff like that, but like just seeing people that supported us. That we haven't seen in months just kind of come out of the blue.
They came out,
it was like,
and
man, really,
you combine that awesome. With the other half of the crowd that's also going there to like have some drinks and enjoy the band to see there, and then there's other people that were like eating there, and you combine all that together, and you have a packed house because the Dinosaur is where it's at.
Yeah,
you see some music, and at the Dinosaur, you get something to eat, you see some music, have some drinks. Yeah. And you guys, for some people, happen to be there, which was, that's the best person to win over because you have to win them over.
Right.
They're not just like out there obligated. It's great to have those people, but like those people that are like, I don't even know who you are, and no one else in the band does. That's the best. Yeah, that's the best thing, man, when they get into you.
Yeah, man. Like any band that plays, like anybody that tours and plays in a town you never played in before.
Yeah.
There's always that element of, oh man, I hope anybody knows who we are here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if they don't, then it's your job to kind of show them, And that's like one of my favorite elements of touring is just being in a place, and even if it was a familiar place, but like being in a place where you're surrounded by people you don't really know at all, and it's you're sitting up there on stage and you're like, okay, let's do it.
Because you have to win people over. Of course, people have to. A band I've never seen that. Yeah, they got to win me over. You pick out every little thing, So you're not. There's no benefit of the doubt. Right. Like it's not like you're a buddy's band or whatever. So you really can. You have like it's like there's no bias.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys crushed it, and I'll speed it along so we can close up here. You guys did something that because I'll tell you, I'm not. Just trying to boost the ego here is that like you guys are on what, like, my top 10 influences currently, because everybody changes them out.
Right.
Top 10 currently, you guys are on that list, especially with this new record you came out with.
Thanks, man.
This is the definition of perfection and people that have their shit together. And it really kicks me in the ass. Because with heavy metal, this hits home for me, because with heavy metal, a lot of that is like, let's write really complicated shit. But it's a lot of flash.
Yeah.
It's a lot of flash, whatever. Like,
Sure.
you get in, you really strip it down, and it's the studio is a da 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 da. Oh fuck, da 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 da. Oh fuck. Yeah, we'll piece it together, and there's like fucking 200 takes that you just mold together.
Right.
That's like kind of how the story goes for the most part,
Sure.
So to see the format, I envy the format that you guys went on for the. Have you done it for every recording you've done?
Our first album was the same way.
Same shit. Okay,
Yeah.
can you just briefly explain what you did? The album that we hear creeping in the background, that's the newest release that you guys went off of. So just describe that process. What happened there?
Yeah, this is our second album. This is it's called Find Your Way. We released it in mid-March. We did a spring tour of the Deep South in mid-March, and that was sort of our best chance to promote the new album, because we had just come out with it, and it was released during our tour, like on iTunes and all that. But we had hard copies with us, and this was like our best way to really make share the new tunes with everybody, just to travel and do it. And but this whole process, man, our first record, we did the same exact thing, really, where we basically just reached out to friends and created this project. But what it was is a bunch of friends of ours who were also musicians, and just such great people to work with. And when you reach out with any friends to do a project, there's always a lot of sacrifice involved and a lot of time. And with this project, it was very much the same thing. It was a 3-day process. December, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I believe. It was Friday.
It's 2014, tail end of it, right? And
Yep.
then you released it shortly after that.
But what we did, it was the 9 of us, and we brought in 13 other musicians. We brought in 8 background vocalists, and 14 plus 8, or 9 plus, so and 5 other players besides that. I have that.
You don't have to name names you don't want. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, we brought in 14 other guys, or 13 other guys, to do this project with us. And they're all friends of ours. They're all great people that we've met while being in Nashville. Some of them, their connections go back even further. Like some people went to undergrad together. Some people, we've just met in the last year or so in town. But they're all just really great friends of ours, and in amongst them, they're incredible. I mean, Otto Gross, he played organ for us in this session, and I had just met Otto a couple months after moving into Nashville. I didn't know him at all, but Ryan and Kevin Gift, our bass player, knew Otto from a gig that they used to do together in Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. He played drums with them, and he plays organ on our record, which is just
versatile.
Fun. Yeah. But all these guys were just good friends of ours, and this whole process starts with just a framework of a tune, and the tunes, when they were written, there's always an idea. Like when we write our tunes, there's always an idea, a structure. We bring it in, the 9 of us, and we kind of shape it the way we want to shape it, and that's kind of how the tunes are born, at least. And then when this record was, when we were creeping up on this whole recording process, we expanded the horn parts. We usually, there's only 2 horns in our band, our touring band. We expanded it to 5, and we had, we brought on a Barry sax, another trumpet, and a trombone player, and we basically just fleshed out the melodies that the horns had and some of the harmonies underneath. And
which is layering is normal in studio work. That's fine. But why did you have to incorporate? Why did you have to get other people? What is the reason for that? This is the process.
Yeah.
This is the difference in how we do things, most bands do things, and how you guys decided to do it.
It's the whole reason behind it is just it's the ideal sound that we want. It's the full sound that we want our music to have. When we travel, it always cracks me up whenever we have a different horn player sit in with us, or an organ player, whenever Otto plays with us or something, because you hear another voice. And to anybody watching that might think, oh, they have two keyboardists, a guitar, who doesn't step on whose shoes? That kind of thing. There's so many different musicians on the stage, but when you hear them, everybody kind of knows where to fit in, where their spot is, and how to blend properly. And that's kind of the beauty of all these guys that we brought in. Everybody has their own voice, and they always have this sensibility of knowing when to play and how to play, so it doesn't hinder any of the music. You know what I mean? So when we expanded these horn parts and brought in another buddy, Hank Bourne, to play guitar, and he also played lap steel for us in one of our tunes. That was pretty awesome. But we brought him in too, not to like double guitar or anything, but to play another line on top that fit in between what was already going on, not to step on anybody's toes, but to enhance the sound.
Sure.
So everything is there's never any like wow factor involved. Nobody's trying to impress anybody. We're just trying.
Did these guys come in after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
They came in after the fact.
No, not after the fact. They came in. What we did was we had rehearsals before the session. We had a couple rehearsals. I think we had 2 or 3 rehearsals before the session, where we'd bring in just the background vocalists, and we'd play our tunes and rehearse with them. Because that's another thing. Dane, our vocalist, and Ryan worked on that also, expanding the vocal, the vocal melody, adding harmonies, expanding, wherever they saw fit. So some of the rehearsals involved just familiarizing the vocalists with the music, and there's all sorts of sectionals that happen outside the fact, where they'll focus on a song or two and just rehearse a little bit and practice it and get it the way they want it to sound, and then eventually the whole band will be put together with these people, and we'll play our music, and it's just like a full rehearsal with 8 more people with the background vocalists.
Right.
Then we added the other musicians on top of that, the organ, the guitar, and the 3 horns. And it was basically piecing everybody together and getting a full rehearsal.
So now you've got this full sound. When it came time to track, because for the last 15 minutes I've been trying to hint at what you guys actually do when you go to press record for the album. What happened at that time? Because usually everybody goes into their little room and they do, okay, today we're doing guitars. Right. Tomorrow we're doing bass, Well,
we just did it all in one shot. Everything.
There you go. Yeah. That's what what I was getting at. What I envy is that you guys did all of this, and you said you rehearsed with these people a couple times, a little bit before the actual session, and then you just did it.
Come in and hit it. Yeah, that's the essence of the music. Really, I mean, it's not. There's no there's no overdubbing at all in this album.
It sounds like it, but you had to have these people cover it.
Yeah.
They had to cover the part. Yeah. You added layers, we'll just dub it in. No, we need another person that can actually do this.
Well, that's where that that really unique relationship between, your friends and fellow musicians, it's everybody sees the same end goal. Everybody was in
really tough to do.
Oh yeah, that's
a huge trust level. You guys have 22, 23 people that are recording
on this record. Yeah,
Jesus.
And when we press record, what we did on that whole recording site, as I said, it was a 3-day weekend. We had 1 show Friday, 3 shows Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday. And we just
picked out the best. How many songs did you do?
Did you do 8 tunes total?
There's 8. You just played the 8, and then
we played the same 8 in their order every show.
Okay.
6 times. And
you just took the best, right?
we all listened back, and that was the hardest part. When there's 9 people that have their own opinions, it was, okay, I really
Right.
liked how I sounded on the second take.
Right. One guy says, "Oh, I screwed
Right.
up here," and then
Right.
everybody else goes, "You're an idiot." No, you
Right,
didn't.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was,
Wow.
that's a whole different process in itself. But like, yeah, that was sort of the whole point of what we do. It's essentially, like I said before, it's essentially a jazz group, and there's so much improvisation just spontaneously happening. And there's all these different subtle things that everybody does differently in every take. And that's where the beauty of it is. At least for me, that's where I see a lot of the beauty in the music. Is it's just, what are you going to do in this given moment? What's going to inspire you to play what you did, and why? That sort of thing. And yeah, the whole process, man. It was just all 22 of us in there. We all had our headphones on, and we all had our own monitor mix. We could put in whatever we wanted, that sort of thing. Whatever. So everybody was really comfortable. That was one of the best parts about it. We recorded in Sound Emporium Studios, which is
The mix sounded great.
Thanks, man. That's Josh Diddy that did the mixing, our engineer. Does great work. But yeah, we did it at Sound Emporium Studios in Nashville, which is where like Alison Krauss and Robert Plant did, like, the Raising Sands. That album was done in that same exact room. It was just a beautiful room to record in. It felt like kind of like if we have our videos up. We have live music videos from the sessions up on YouTube on our channel.
That was cool how you released them, like, periodically.
Yeah.
I'd wake up in the morning, and that's what I would wake up to,
man.
as one of the
Something
new tunes,
new.
the high def video shots of each. Did you have like one camera on like each kind of
Pretty much
section
we had,
of
I wanna
the
say
horn
we had
section,
3
the drummer?
different cameras going.
Yeah.
Throughout.
And you had an audience.
Yeah, and
These
the
were
audience.
shows.
Yeah, it was.
You
That was
did
the
a
best part
live
about it.
studio session.
I mean, we paid for it all ourselves, really. I mean, there was no help in that regard. So to help supplement, income to afford this, we brought in audiences, 25-person audiences to every show, and sold tickets to it. Like it's essentially a concert, really.
That's badass.
And
That's so awesome.
Yeah, in the morning,
It's really cool.
The morning before the session, we just we took my van and went around to our friends' houses and just jacked a bunch of their couches and love seats, and whatever we could get to, for people
to
be
make them
comfortable.
comfortable, yeah. And they had headphones on too,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Because
they
they
all
can't
had
just
headphones.
watch you guys
Right.
in ISO booths. They have to like hear
Yeah.
the
If they didn't have
the
headphones
mix.
on, they just heard percussion. But yeah, everybody had a studio like monitor mix going on in their ears while they were listening to it, and
I love that format. And
it was beautiful. And that's
it was
honestly,
worth
man,
the money.
I think that's a lot of where our best playing is inspired from. Is just it's obviously in the moment, but when you have an audience supporting you, it's like any artist, really. I know when you have an audience that appreciates what you do in the moment, it's going to inspire you to play better, and that's where that whole philosophy came from.
Yeah.
Having the audience there, I mean, it was great to help pay for the recording costs.
Financially too, because you guys went in there and did it. Everybody in a weekend. Usually it's like one instrument gets done in a weekend. You guys crushed it. Just musicianship alone made it possible in one weekend. Between the Buried and Me did it wasn't solely a live studio release, but they released one of their records as like, hey, we're just gonna play the thing straight through in the studio. So that, and you've heard Between the Buried and Me, like, I don't hear anything wrong.
It's
the
crazy.
Entire,
Man.
it's so
it blows my
tight.
mind. Which is a testament to anybody. I mean, there's always you can always refine your sound, and I mean, you should have heard. I mean, anybody that knows us well, I mean, if you listen to me in high school, it might be I might be swinging in jazz band, but the temp, my pocket, whatever it is, but it would speed up every song pretty much. There's always like these different things that you improve over time and practice and work towards, and that was sort of Dynamo is so far for me been like the culmination of just practicing and for the sake of
well, and you got there because you were never content, never just satisfied with whatever you had.
I think that's
Keep moving.
the most beautiful music and art comes out of not being satisfied and always being willing to go the extra mile.
But right now, I hope that like whatever you're doing, I can't hear anything that needs to be better. I can't hear it. At this point, all I can comment on is I hope this becomes scientific to you guys and just a mathematical formula of producing the best, which is this most recent record you came out with, to just keep that going. It's and keep
the
it interesting.
Fire, under your backside to keep you trying to improve and always work and always refine. Because I mean, personally, you're always going to hear something in your playing that you're like, okay, I got to work on that. I got to do this, I got to do that. And having a reference, like a musical recording reference of yourself, is the best thing possible.
Absolutely.
To have, just because it's like, okay, this is where.
Because there's no one that hates you more than yourself.
Right. But I mean, it's been a wonderful journey so far.
Yeah, man.
It's been fun, and it's great to have like such great friends that can support, and also just just to have as like as friends that just love what you're doing just for the sake of your art. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
There's not too much. There's so much music out there, and there's not too much that gets me really excited anymore.
I feel that.
And see through a lot of the bullshit. But you guys are doing it right. So if there's I'm gonna do my show updates, and then you can do any sort of dates that you guys have or any news that you have going on.
Sure.
Are we good? Do you have any other sidebars or
I'll let
anything
you do
else
your
to add?
updates first. And then,
Cool. All right, guys. So Wednesday, May 27th, we're playing in Syracuse, the Lost Horizon, with the Contortionist, Chan Aris, I think that's how you say it, and Thoughts in Reverse. Doors are at 6. Please get there when doors open. If you want to see us, we'll be on there early. It's a $14 pre-sale, and it's all ages. Saturday, June 6th, we're in Hannibal. It's Trish Stock. That's day 2, I believe. There are a ton of bands on this. Pre-sales are normally $25, but we're running them for $15 because we're nice guys. And if you are from Syracuse, you want transport getting up there, we can probably help you out with that too. Friday, June 12th, we're in Lafargeville. I believe it's west of Watertown. It's Fun on the Farm. We're doing day 1. And actually, Glass Skeleton Death March will be on that, as well as Chase and Sakaris. Same thing. You want transport, we might be able to bring you up there. Just let us know. Shoot us a message. And all tickets can be ordered from spiremetal.bandcamp.com/merch. Long name. Sorry. Yeah. So, Nate, do you want to? Do you have any plugs?
Yeah, sure. Well,
since
we're based in Nashville, most of our shows are around the Nashville area. We have a show coming up this Friday at Acme Feed and Seed right on Lower Broadway. As far as upstate New York, we will be on the road. The first week in August, we'll be coming through this neck of the woods up here, the great state of New York. We'll be in actually revisiting the Dinosaur BBQ, 2 locations, Rochester on Wednesday, August 5th, and then Syracuse again on August 6th. It's a Thursday. Mm-hmm. Day after.
Awesome.
But yeah, as far as visiting our page for any other dates, there's a bunch of other shows we have coming up in between then that I can't remember, but you can check us out at dynamo-music.com. And yeah, also our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Dynamo Nashville. And that's got all our music videos on it. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us. We're sociable dudes. We promise. We're not too awkward. At least on social media. In person, it's different. But yeah.
And if one of them sucks, there's 8 more of them.
Yeah, there's always somebody else that's cooler than one of us.
Great. All right. Thanks, Nate. That's the Riffcast. Questions or comments, please email us at spirenymetal@gmail.com for bonus material from these conversations and more updates on what we have going on. You can join our mailing list by going to spire.fanbridge.com, FANBRIDGE, spire.fanbridge.com. Thanks for listening, and see you at the show. But before we go, I want to play a track from Dynamo from the new record, Find Your Way. Nate, I'm going to go off of a personal preference for you. So what do you want? What do you want to play
Personal
for people?
preference.
These are metalheads.
Yeah.
So the song with all the screaming in it.
It's a tough choice then. Yeah, let's go to the second track of our album. This is entitled Ashland City. This is written by Josh Blaylock, our synth player. It's also written by Andrew Golden, our trumpet player, and Kevin Gatsky, our tenor saxophone player.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Pat. Everybody, please check out Spire. I've been a friend of Pat's for so freaking long now. It's 14 years, probably 14, 15 years. And I've seen this band, you know, when I first met him, and I've seen it now, and how it's developed, and there's such passion in this music. And you guys are missing out if you don't know who they are.
All right, fuck off, Nate. This is Ashland City.